Welcome to, I was going to do good and remember the actual numbered episode of this podcast.
I have no clue. I'm no help there whatsoever.
I want to say this should be like 158. I could be wildly wrong.
I don't think you're wildly wrong, but
Close enough.
One or two.
Yeah.
Plus or minus. Doesn't matter.
We're good. So welcome to the Modern Skein podcast. My name is Sharon Graff, and I am the owner of the Modern Skein, which is a yarn shop here in Montgomery. Nope. We are not in Montgomery. Oh, my goodness.
Another Monday morning.
In Conroe, Texas. Hi. How are you? I have not caffeinated.
You get caffeinated.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Cathie, and I am the official hangout person at the shop because it seems like I'm always around.
It's true.
So, welcome. Bienvenidos. I don't know how to say it in French. I was trying to go for an international take because some of my patterns are international, so, I fumbled that one. Maybe I should restudy my Bulgarian.
Okay, so when you said bienvenidos, all I could think of was like the old from high school. Bienvenidos, ¿qué hora es?
Oh my goodness! See, that never even occurred to me.
Oh, okay. Oh. Hi, hello.
Hello.
If you're a new viewer, welcome to the show. If you are a returning viewer, thanks for sticking around through all of our shenanigans, and we do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help us out, and it gets this podcast in front of new viewers, and hopefully they enjoy us. And if you don't, you can turn us off. So,
well.
Yeah.
So, I don't see you wearing any knitwear this morning, Sharon.
No, but I do have one finished object.
Okay.
I do. And honestly, because the temperature was like, is it cold enough? Is it hot enough? I don't know what the temperature is. It's one of those weird days.
That's why I'm wearing a cardigan. This is perfect cardigan weather.
Just wait till you hear my cardigan story.
Okay. This is the Bumpy cardigan by Maxim Max the knitter.
You're going to have to stand up.
Yes. Show it off. It is designed to be a wide open front. It has no buttons intentionally by Max. And Max is located in Canada, so that's the first of my international theme here.
Where is this going? Okay. I don't have an international theme.
I didn't warn her ahead of time.
No. I'm also not wearing knitwear. I'm wearing a t-shirt a la Target. But I did finish my Ritual Dyes yarn, custom colorway, mini mock neck tank top. Ta-da! And if you've fallen in love with the yarn like I have, sorry, it's sold out.
Well, I'm glad I got mine.
No, but seriously, if you also love it, I mean, it sold out so fast. It wasn't even here a week.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Well, just right at a week, I think. But anyway, if you are interested, this is the Ritual Dyes custom colorway. It's listed on the website. Please go ahead and click the notify me when available. What that does is that lets us know how many people are genuinely interested in seeing a restock. And if you know, that won't let you enter a quantity. It'll just say notify me when back in stock. If you are wanting more than, say, 2 skeins, if you're wanting 4 or 5 or sweaters quantity or something specific, please shoot us an email and we will put you on like the wait list. It helps us gauge how much we need to reorder, how fast we're going to reorder it. All those things really do help us out. We love us some number crunching. I mean, I don't, but
She doesn't. I do.
she does. And my bookkeeper does. So it does help us all out if you send us all those number crunchy details. But that being said, this is stunning. Oh, you guys can't even It's so good. The speckles are just so good.
It really is. And I have to say, your colors nailed to a T.
Yes, yes, they got me so good. So this is, in case you're not seeing it quite, it's like a warm gray. People have asked, is it brown? No, it's not brown, but it is gray, but it's a warm gray. It's got hints of taupe. The speckles that are speckled very uniformly, but also sporadic, which I love, are a deep navy. They're not black, they're a deep navy. And you've just got that perfect, like, slightly acid wash denim to dark mid-tone denim colorway in there. It's just so good.
I love it.
So the pattern is Mini Mock Neck by Jessie May, and you may notice it's not a crop top. So, no, it's not. In the photograph, Park Williams is modeling, and it is most definitely a crop top on her, and she has the body for it. Go her. I am not going to be wearing a crop top anytime soon, and so I knit additional length. I also added, so in here, without giving away the pattern, you do like a ribbed edge, and then you cast on for your underarm, and you do ribbing, and then you stop, and you just knit in stockinette all the way around. I liked the idea of just continuing the ribbing all the way down in this side panel, because I have some curve, and I wanted it to show off, but I didn't want to necessarily do waist shaping, so I thought this would be a good way to just slightly accentuate that. And then I did get a little panicky and was concerned that as it got closer to my hips, I wouldn't have enough room. So I did basically one increase on either side twice with about an inch in between. So I just gave myself a little bit of extra fabric there. Other than that, there's no modifications. It's a lot of modifications for now.
I was going to say, that's probably enough for a simple pattern like
For a
that
very
one.
simple pattern, yes. But it just goes to show you, if you see something modeled on Ravelry or on Instagram that is a crop top, 99.999% of the time,
Right.
you can make it longer. So if crop tops are not in your future, it's okay.
Don't let that dissuade you. I let it
Exactly.
put me off for a while, and
Yeah.
then I ended up knitting a couple of patterns that were originally designed as cropped, and I loved them. I didn't crop them, but I loved the patterns. So definitely.
Just like something that is, again, for the most part, maybe tunic length, and you just want it to your hips.
Same thing.
90% of the time, you can definitely just shorten it, you know? So there's a few rare instances if the thing is
Well-
sideways or something
What is it?
goofy, but
I always say, never say always or never,
yeah,
because
true.
you'll never be correct.
That's very true.
Well, I have one finished object. The cardigan I'm wearing is actually from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago,
Yeah.
so it doesn't count. But I love this.
It's so good.
I finished my Staffin vest by Rebecca Clow. This is knit in the Yorkshire worsted yarn, which is going to be released by Red Stag Fibre the end of March. And it is knit in the Royal Ballet color, which is a noisy cat back there. A really, I don't know how you can say you have a neutral pink, but this is a neutral pink.
And
It's
I
a
don't like
dusty,
pink, and it's not bad.
just barely there pink that just, to me, is just, goes with everything. And look at the fantastic stitch detailing that you get with this yarn. I am so impressed.
It's not
and
showing up very well.
Oh, I think it is.
Well, I mean the color. I feel
Oh,
like
the color. The color's better, I think, a little bit
yeah,
further away.
That's, there's our
Don't
screen
fall
grab.
don't fall out of your chair.
That's a better representation of the color.
Correct.
So.
I agree with that. But the yarn's great to knit with. I love the pattern. It kept me engaged and interested all the way. It's simply, there are no cables or anything like that. The little buttons here were actually fun. I'm not a big bauble person, and they're not really baubles. They're just a little bit of texture detail. So I think it's a great pattern. I love the result. And that's my one and only finished object.
Yeah. Why are all your whips over there?
Because I've moved them around 16 times and didn't get them anywhere close to where I could reach them.
Her whips are literally all the way at the other end.
Half a mile across the store.
Yep. Okay.
Start on your whips and I'll try to move mine a little closer.
So, I don't even know. Did I even show this? Surely I showed this on the last podcast.
I
think I did. We'll have to go back and look. This is the Niji, I think is how we pronounce it, by, oh my gosh, is it Eri Shmizu? I think so. So this is the Niji. Ta-da!
I love it.
So this is the back, FYI, because you can see, can you point out that split hem? So it has this really cool option of doing this little cable-y split hem, and then the neckband on the back will mimic kind of and have a split on the back. Because this.
So you haven't put the neckband on?
I haven't put the
neck
neck back on. No, because it's. I hate to say the word turtleneck. It's almost more like you do like a mock turtleneck kind of. That being said, I have discovered that apparently, the sweater looks very long and slouchy and oversized on the model. She does not give her height dimensions, but it must be very short because I knit it longer accidentally than what she said by like 3.5 inches, and it was almost a crop top on me. And I'm not a tall person, okay? I'm like average. I'm 5'8", 9-ish, somewhere in there.
I think you're tall. But then I'm a dwarf.
But anyway, this is a fabulous pattern. I love the big exaggerated, of course it's not blocked yet, so you can't really tell, but the big exaggerated ribbed raglans. You have this really cool side panel detail where you decrease that back out on the sides. Move your hand the other way. There we go. So you can kind of see that. And I started on the sleeve. I need to switch my needles and start working on the cuff. I am choosing to marl a whole bunch of yarns together for a super cozy, awesome, squishy, now that it's getting hot, sweater to wear.
Well,
we'll have a cold snap, don't worry.
And then there's always that place with the air conditioning turned down to 50 or something.
Yeah,
so
my life. So I am holding together a strand of Yorkshire Sport in natural, Yorkshire Sport in Cobblestone, and Red Stag Fibre Dachas Suri in Welsh Slate. And I'm holding all three of these together to get the stitch gauge of 13 and a half. I think I might have actually be 14, but close enough. For this very chunky sweatshirt, oversized, awesome thing.
Since you said that, Sharon, would it be possible to use a chunky yarn maybe for this pattern?
She actually wrote the pattern in Gilead, which is Durham Natura's worsted. So she actually recommends that you use only a worsted weight yarn at a 13.5 stitch gauge. Her goal was to have a very open weave fabric. Okay. But then again, Gilead is kind of borderline an Aran, and it blooms an awful lot like a Yorkshire does. So I think Yorkshire worsted, if you don't want to hold yarns together, would be an awesome option. Basically, I'm doing like sport lace. So it kind of is around an Aran-ish gauge. My fabric, I would say, probably is a touch denser than what she maybe had envisioned, but I like it. I like the fabric.
That's what's important.
I know I got inspiration from Candace at Farmer's Daughter. She did it in, I believe, a DK with a thicker Suri. So again, you ended up with, a more of an Aran kind of weight yarn. She did not, I know she did a video about it, and she said she did not get gauge, so she modified knitting a different pattern size and a few other things for hers to get it to the way that fit the shoe. Get it to fit the way she wanted. It just so happened that I had already swatched these 3 together, and I knew I had gotten a 14 stitch gauge, so I just kind of went with it, and I love it.
I really liked it. I like the fact that it's a simplistic sort of pattern, and yet it's got this very interesting detail.
Well, after knitting the doppio, I love marling the 3 yarns together. And I almost knit another doppio, but you know me, I don't like to knit the same pattern twice,
Right.
very rarely. And so,
Which is going to lead right into me.
yeah, I know.
Totally opposite.
Yes. But I also wanted a plain yet different sweater. And so the Niji really just ticked all the boxes. That being said, there are now several patterns. It used to be, if you watch very beginning of this episode, podcast, that the only thing I'd ever knit twice was the Vertices Unite.
Yes.
I actually can't say that because I never finished that second Vertices.
Oh, I love that.
It's in a
I love
basket
that.
right
That's
over
great.
there.
It's still hanging around.
But now I have knit 4 shift cowls.
Okay. At least 4 that I can think of.
At least 4. I have knit the mini mock neck twice.
Yes.
I have knit the, what's the other one I've knit? There's one more. My gosh.
I have enough trouble
That's-
keeping up with my own, so
That's annoying.
I have nothing to offer here. Maybe it'll come to you in a moment.
Maybe. But anyway, those are things I have knit more than once.
Well, since we're on whips and we're talking about knitting a pattern more than once,
Oh, the Kyler.
let me. The Kyler.
You're going
The
to see it in a
Kyler.
minute.
Okay.
I brought it finally.
So I showed this on the last podcast. This is the Tulsa Tea by Rebecca Clow. This is in the new Yorkshire fingering weight in French waistcoat. Do you approve, Suri? What do you think? Yeah. She says, not really. Those of you who know me know that I think this is my 5th or 6th Tulsa Tea. I'm not even sure. I really, really like the pattern. I like the fact that it's so easy to customize and that you can add so many different little modifications to it, like stripes or a little bit of lace or a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And it suddenly dawned on me, I thought, that I didn't have one that was just solid. So that was part of my motivation in casting this on. I then discovered, as I had to totally empty out my closet because of a maintenance issue later last week, I actually do have a solid one. It's in a very much lighter shade of blue, so I'm not going to consider them the same. But as you can see, I'm making some progress. I have separated for sleeves. I've got maybe an inch below the separation line. And my goal is to get this finished by launch date so that I can wear it at the end of March. Suri, please do not chew up my yarn. Suri approves of the Yorkshire yarn, evidently. It must taste really good.
Okay. What am I going to talk about?
Next whip.
Next whip. Which one?
Oh my goodness,
I know.
have you been busy?
I have
Do
been
you
busy.
have a whip that you worked on since the last podcast? Do you have one
Yes,
with you?
and this one I've worked on since the last podcast. I don't think I showed it since the last podcast.
Oh, okay.
But this is speaking of Kyler, this is my Kyler shawl, since we just talked about Yorkshire fingering. So this I'm working up in the Yorkshire fingering in the natural colorway. So Kyler is a pattern by Isabell Kramer. And it's just a very simple diamond lace pattern, and then you get to a point and then you just knit like flat stockinette on this side, and we just keep going until it's a giant triangle.
So you're working your way to the stockinette side of the triangle.
Yeah.
Is that what happens? The lace decreases?
No,
Or
lace
just-
stays the same.
Just the stockinette
Just the sock
increases?
increases. And
It's
then
really, really pretty.
you do it so many repeats, you get to a certain stitch count, and then you just knit like ribbing for like
Okay.
an inch, and then you do the lace pattern again for like 1 or 2 repeats, and then more ribbing, and then you bind off.
And where is Isabell Kramer from?
Germany.
See, there's another one. I forgot to mention that Tulsta by Rebecca Clow is from Scotland. So now we've covered 3 countries.
So we've covered 3 countries, yes, we have, and
Or
Portland.
4, actually, I suppose.
Oh yeah, Eri, I believe Eri is from Japan.
Okay.
I'm not sure where she lives right now, like if she lives in Japan or
Well.
if she's elsewhere. But and of course, Ritual Dyes is Portland, Oregon, and Jessie May is Chicago.
Okay.
So we've got a wild little group there.
I really
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. I put in my progress keeper to see how much I did yesterday.
Oh, so you did that yesterday.
I did.
Now I'm
I did
embarrassed.
this. No, I did this during church.
Oops. I was going to say a basketball game, but no, I think that was too riveting.
No, the basketball game. There was no knitting during that basketball game. No, I knit in church. It's fine. Nobody cares. Actually, the pastor's like, "That's so cool." So, yeah, that's what I got done.
Well,
And then,
did you happen to bring your through lines?
I did. You want to talk about that next?
Yeah, let's show that next because that's my next whip.
Okay. And I'd have knit on this as well. I've tried to give everything a little bit of opportunity this week.
Well, I'll have to say that between work, I didn't have a whole lot of knitting time. That and the fact that my apartment was trashed replacing my water heater. But I was concentrating primarily on the vest, so I didn't make just a ton of progress on some of these things until we get to the new cast-ons, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, I have.
Distractions for sure. Okay.
What?
Mine's still
Smaller.
small.
It's okay. It's not a race. Embrace your pace, as Stephen would say.
Can we just sort of show these together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Can you tell whose is who?
Let me think here. Maybe we should take a poll and see if people can figure this out. I think that's way too simplistic.
Yeah. Everyone's a winner on that. So this is my Thru Lines. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I am using Camper as my color A and B in the chestnut and oatmeal colorways. So oatmeal is these lines going vertical lines. And then the horizontal line here is Spincycle dyed in the wool in the colorway House Blend, which is this beautiful brown neutral. It's like Stay Ready, but all brown.
But all browns.
It's so
Okay.
good.
And I think this is interesting, Sharon. So I am knitting mine in Red Stag Fibre Cottage Sock in Van for the turquoise or aqua type color. I'm using Birch for my vertical lines. And was it Space Oddity?
It's Space
Is this
Oddity.
Space Oddity for the Spincycle. And the thing I want to point out here is the difference in the textures because of the different makeup of the yarn. Okay, the Camper is designed to bloom and gives a much thicker fabric. I mean, not a denser fabric, but
No.
just the yarn itself is a little bit. Even though it's fingering weight, it shows up as being a little bit thicker and more textured.
Yeah.
Whereas with the cottage sock, because it is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, it's a much lighter, more of a sock weight
Yeah.
type yarn.
Well, and it's a much tighter ply.
And a much tighter ply, and it does not tend to bloom as much.
Correct.
So it just shows to me that you can take the same pattern and just by changing your yarn selection, you can actually get something that looks quite different.
See, what's interesting to me looking at it this way is it feels like your ribbing is less pronounced than my ribbing.
I think that's true. I
Which
think
is
that's very true.
Odd, because you don't necessarily from afar see my ribbing because of the darkness of the color, but if you were to look at this in person, the texture is like three-dimensional.
Yes. And mine is three-dimensional. It's just at a much, much smaller or slighter, softer.
Yeah. Amount.
So both of them equally
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, there is a little bit to be said that's superwash versus non-superwash.
Yes.
There's a little bit of difference there. So, that's that. I've tried to work a little bit on it every,
I
every
think
day,
you mentioned
but-
on the last podcast that some of the complaints about the pattern was that it was hard to memorize.
Yeah.
And I think you said then that after about 8 repeats in or so,
Mm-hmm.
I am to the point where I don't have to refer to the pattern. I can just continue to
Yeah.
knit. There's enough change that it keeps me interested.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough repetition that it becomes more intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah. You get the hang of when you need to, I think part of it is one of the sections you start on the wrong side row, and so I think that kind
Yes,
of threw everyone
yes.
for a little bit, but it's very intuitive. Once you get past that 8th or 9th repeat, then it's like, oh, everything just clicks and it flows.
Everything clicks and it flows.
Only if I've set it down for like 2 or 3 days do I need to just glance at the pattern. Oh yeah,
Oh,
this is
well,
where
of
my-
course, but a quick glance and it's like, okay, this is where I am. This
Yeah.
is where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That pattern is Thru Lines by Andrea Mowry,
Yep.
who I believe is now in Michigan.
Michigan.
So we're still in the United States for that one.
We're traveling around. I want to talk about this next because this is a conundrum.
Okay. Go
Okay.
right ahead.
So, I am knitting the Seasons cardigan by Ozetta, who is in Tennessee, I believe. It's a half fisherman's rib sweater. I really like the sweater. I want the sweater. I really like this yarn. I want a sweater in this yarn. However, I don't think I don't think this yarn is meant to be this sweater, and I don't think this sweater pattern is meant for this yarn.
And sometimes that happens.
It does. It's not a fault of the pattern. It's not a
No.
fault of the yarn.
No.
The pattern is not a hard pattern. The pattern is not a poorly written pattern. The pattern is great. The yarn is great. I just hate it together.
Well, I had the same thing occur with my winter speech cardigan.
Yeah.
And that's the reasons it's been sitting in
Sitting there.
timeout since 2021.
So I'm going to rip this out. I think partly, even though this pattern calls for a worsted weight yarn, the yarn that she used is no longer made, and I've never seen it in person or anything, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and based off of the drape and everything in her pictures and how it looks, I'm almost gonna say it's one of those really light worsted weights that's more of like a heavy decayed light worsted, with potentially, even though it said it was a non-superwash and a couple other things that would lean towards a more rustic structured yarn, I'm thinking it was a more drapey yarn.
That's highly possible.
At least certainly more drapey than Germantown. Germantown is fabulous. Drape is not a word I would give it. It is it's a structured yarn.
It's got
It's a
structure.
workhorse yarn.
Definitely, definitely.
So it shows this stitch patterning beautifully. I'm gonna look like a football player wearing it with this. It makes the collar stand up a little bit more than what I'm wanting, what is inferred in the pattern pictures, things like that. I didn't care for how the button band was written. That is purely a me and how I like to finish things, it is not a fault of the pattern. I just want that to be clear. The pattern is written well, and if you follow all the instructions, it's going to work out fabulously. It's just not how I like it. So that being said, I'm going to rip it out. I do think I'm going to knit the Seasons cardigan. I don't know if I'm actually going to go through my stash today and see if there's a yarn that I have in my stash that might be the one for this pattern. I don't know if I'm ready to just like jump back into it, you know, if I need to like take a little hot break. If I do take a break, I will probably rewrite for myself the button band and do a button band more similar to a petite knit button band style, a double knit, versus the ribbing. But that's just me.
Hey. And while we're talking about that's just you and the fact that you have made these decisions not based on a problem with the yarn, not based on a problem with the pattern, but based on your personal preference. I want to jump into one of my new cast-ons and talk about that for just a minute.
Well, and as you're grabbing that, I think people are like, well, how do you decide on that? It's like, I think that just comes from me knitting, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, I've knit so many things, but I've knit a ton of patterns.
Right.
And so I know what I like. It's just like, if you go to the mall and it's like, oh, that's a cute top. That's not me.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Same kind of thing. I've knit so many things that I know at the end of the day, I'm either going to hate knitting it, and so I'm not going to finish it, or I'm not going to wear it at the end of the day, and so I might as well just not even do it.
Right. I think I can relate to that in terms of when you talk about shopping for ready-to-wear clothing. I love peasant tops with the billowy sleeves. I keep buying one and I put it on and I feel ridiculous. Okay, I love the way they look on other people.
Yeah,
but it's just not me.
It's not you. Yeah.
So I have finally come to the conclusion that it's fine. Let me just admire them on other people and go on my merry way. And sometimes that's just what you have to do.
It's like me. I grew up, I'm going to age myself here or put myself in a certain age group where the hot thing when you were in late high school and early college was to wear a polo shirt.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
I look like, some corporate like bartender or something like that when I wear a polo shirt. It's stupid. Like, it looks awful. I wore them for years with, the layers, the multiples, the popped collar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't work for me. But every now and then I'll be walking, I'm like, that's a nice polo shirt. And I'm like, nope.
So, leading into one of my newer cast-ons, I have cast on another because I actually knit two of these for my daughter and one for myself. Mine met an unfortunate demise, which I will not go into the details of. But I'm knitting the Harlow hat, also by Andrea Mowry. And I'm doing this in conjunction with someone else that I'm helping along this journey. And here's what happened in the course of that, and it's something I sort of take for granted myself because, like you said, Sharon, I have a lot of years of experience of knitting, and I know what I like and what I don't like, and sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, I just want to do this. The pattern for the Harlow hat has two cast-on options. One of them is a tubular cast-on. Andrea Mowry does an excellent job of explaining this, plus a video, all of that, not trying to minimize that in any way. The other option is a German twisted cast-on, which is called a stretchier cast-on, so to speak. But the person I was knitting this in conjunction with has a hard time doing the German twisted cast-on and was becoming a little frustrated. And I simply said, so what cast-on do you usually use? And she told me. And I said, so use it.
Exactly.
But there's no reason why you can't. Very few times
Yeah, I was just about to say.
does it make any difference.
I was trying to think. It's like, is there a specific pattern that it was like, absolutely not. You have to do this kind of a cast on. And I mean, with the exception of maybe a provisional cast on.
Right. And there's usually a reason for a provisional cast on.
There's a reason, and a lot of times there's ways you can work around that or do a different type of provisional.
That's what I was going to say. Even with the provisional cast on, I can come off the top of my head with 3 different ways to do one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are many
There's
more
more
than that out there. So I guess my point in this is I think I've now, thinking back, known other people who have looked at a pattern and say, oh, well, I'm not going to knit that because it calls for a XYZ cast on. Don't let that deter you. Good heavens, use the cast on you like. I had a stage for about a year where I thought the cable cast on was the cat's meow.
Yeah.
And everything I knit, I used the cable cast on. It was a new to me cast on at the time. I enjoyed it. I liked doing it. And so I did it.
Yeah.
Then I kind of got away from it for any particular reason. No, I just moved on.
Yeah.
Is the cable cast on still a good cast on? 100%. And I actually did it for the first time in a long time, about 6 months ago. I don't even remember now which project. Just because I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do a cable cast on this one.
Well, and I'll say, before like interrupting you on that, I'm in the midst of teaching a first sweater series class at the shop, and the pattern that we had that we're using is No Frills by Petite Knit. It's one of her earlier patterns, so it's written differently than a lot of her later patterns.
Okay.
And so she just says cast on XYZ. She does not tell you how to cast it on.
Okay.
It's your choice. We had several of the people in the class that were like, what do we do?
Right.
And I said, well, I'm going to use the long tail method because that's what I'm most comfortable with. I said, there are merits to doing that. So definitely I would encourage you to do a long tail cast on. But if you are more comfortable doing a knitted cast on or something like that, you're more than welcome to. I mean, I could have easily done a tubular cast on if I wanted to. I could do a provisional if I wanted. I mean, you could do so many different things, but at the end of the day, it just needs to go over your head.
Right. So
it doesn't really.
You do you.
You do you. Yeah. I'd say that a lot in the shop.
Right.
You do you, boo-boo.
When I'm teaching beginning knitting classes, I always try to stress to them that in all of my many, many years of knitting, I have never yet seen the knitting police come around. I mean, maybe if you're in a structured, paid-for course, you have to do something a certain way. I can think of a couple of those.
Yeah.
But outside of that, nobody really cares.
I will say, and I've seen knitters and crocheters and of all ability levels come through these doors.
Yes.
The only person that ever points out the mistake is themselves.
Correct.
And I always tell them, guess what? None of us would have seen that, so shut up.
Yes.
Stop pointing them out.
Right.
We've had several customers like every time, oh, that's so beautiful. And it's like, oh, well, look, I did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. And it's like, zip, zip.
Yep.
Stop it. Like, you can make your own notes if you want to, like, refer to them, but don't go telling everybody all the mistakes.
Okay, let me tell you this. On one of my toaster tees, and I'm not even going to say which one because I wear them all, I have a bad habit, if I get in too big of a hurry, of knitting into the stitch below and not noticing it.
Yeah.
Because if I notice it, I can fix it
That's
immediately.
a couple samples in here.
Yeah. And one stitch on the front of this toaster tee, which is pretty much stockinette. And to me, it blinks like a light bulb.
Yeah.
Not a single person has ever noticed or said anything about it, and I've worn it around multiple knitters of various levels, people that know me well enough that would not hesitate to come up and say, ooh, what happened there? Not never.
Yeah.
Not one time.
Yeah.
Not one time. And I'm not revealing which one it is.
I have
So
to
that
go
may
see.
be the Easter egg hunt of the season coming up.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you make a mistake, just don't tell the world about it. It's fine. You know, I make mistakes. If it bothers me enough, I'll rip it out. If it doesn't,
Yes.
I move on.
Yes.
Kind of forgot where we were going with this.
Well, we've probably
We did.
Your choice and not being stuck on
a certain thing.
rigid certain thing, I think is the point of this.
Yes. So, like I said, I am teaching the sweater class, so I wasn't even going to like show this because I feel like, well, it's not really a whip, but it is a whip because I'm knitting the sweater from this class. So it's the No Frills by Petite Knit. We just in this last class went through all the German short rows, and now I've got to catch up and get to separating for sleeves before Saturday. So this is
No worries.
No,
You got it.
I know. I hope everyone in the class makes it. But it's not, again, like I told everyone in the class, if you don't make it, it's okay.
It's all right.
We'll make it.
It's
It'll be
okay.
fine.
It's okay.
You don't have to knit the sweater in 4 weeks. You don't have to.
No, the idea is to
learn the steps.
learn the steps of making a sweater to be comfortable with what you're doing.
Yes. Which, that being said, I know a lot of you guys have asked for classes or something like that for people who aren't local. And I finally, I think, come up with an idea. It's not going to be like set classes, I don't think, but I've come up with an idea and a way for me to film, for lack of a better word, masterclass type videos. And we're going to be launching because on YouTube now you can do like a subscription. So we are going to launch a subscription service in the coming months, with what would be as though you would come see us for a class or a private lesson. So I have the idea of some of it will be walking through step by step a pattern. Sometimes it will be just, let's say, a masterclass series on gauge or how to knit your first pair of socks or things like that. So sometimes project specific, sometimes just technique specific. But all of those videos would be, I think this subscription's the best way because then you have access to all the videos and we'll be constantly uploading new ones.
Sounds like
that's coming.
exciting things coming in the future.
Stay tuned. I do have one more whip. Oh, you do too?
Okay. Well, yes, it's a new cast-on
Okay.
whip.
Well,
Are you
kind of.
including all of those together?
Yeah. So you talk about yours, and then I'll talk about this because then that leads into the pile of yarn in front of me.
Okay.
Just throwing yarn.
I'm
everywhere.
throwing yarn everywhere, and Suri's not helping me out. She's decided she's no longer interested. So you're about to see the other reason why I haven't made much progress on the Tulsa tee, because I cast on.
Well, I will say I will accept a little bit of the blame.
You're going to have to accept like 90% of the blame because you definitely encouraged me, and I'm now have my yarn wrapped totally around my feet.
So I showed this pattern on a live,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
I believe so.
I'm pretty
yes.
sure. And then all of a sudden it was.
I had seen it and was already a little bit intrigued. And then, because I think it popped up probably, it was either released that morning or the day. I mean,
I think so, yeah.
A very short period of time. And I said, oh, I like that. So.
Oh, I remember why. Because I was talking about knitting it at a lighter weight. Because it was knit at using a heavier weight yarn.
Yes.
And so on my live, I was like, so with the gauge listed and everything else in the fabric, you could definitely bump it down and do a sport, right? Or did
DK.
I say DK?
I think it's
Because
written
it was
for a
written
worsted.
for worsted, and I said, just bump it down to a DK. You're going to be great.
So what did I do? The live's over with. I'm immediately accosting Sharon and saying, wait a minute. Are you sure you use this yarn and the pattern calls for this? And she said, I'm sure. It is the potato vodka pattern by Thea Coleman. Look at this. Is it not? This is a cardigan, by the way, and it starts at the bottom. So you're looking at from the bottom up.
It is so pretty.
I am using Red Stag Fibre Yorkshire DK in the colorway Brick Tavern as my main color. And I had a couple of skeins of Spincycle dyed in the wool in Castaway that had a lot of blue in it. And I'm just getting to the blue portion, which is what you're seeing there at the top on the needles. And I told Sharon, I said, I don't know. I said, I'm not sure this is going to work. I had and I meant to bring this with me, but forgot it. I had a little bitty teeny tiny ball of some leftover dyed in the wool yarn. I couldn't even remember the colorway because there was not enough of it there to really determine exactly what it came from. And I had some Yorkshire DK scraps. And so I knit a small swatch. Now this time I wasn't swatching for gauge. I've knit with the Yorkshire DK enough to know how I could get gauge on that, at least pretty confidently. What I was trying to do was see, is this really going to make a fabric that I'm going to like? And immediately I said, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I am using the gauge in the pattern. I am using the Yorkshire DK in the Brick Tavern as my main color, and the Spincycle dyed in the wool as my, I can't remember if she calls it contrast or alternate, because it's really, it's almost evenly split except for the edgings of the cardigan.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with this pattern, with this stitch pattern. There is something about it that's engaging and yet soothing and meditative, and I'm boring Sharon to death.
Soothing, meditative.
Relaxing.
So relaxing.
Oh, let's just fall over and take a nap. I'm having trouble walking away from this, honestly. I literally, trying to get the vest finished, I said, I think I only had the picking up the collar and the armbands left to do. And I said, I've got to get this vest finished. The only way I'm going to do it, I have to hide this so I can't see it, because if I see it, I want to work on it.
Yeah.
And I literally put it out of sight so
wow.
that I couldn't see it, so I would get the vest finished.
That's funny.
But I am thoroughly enjoying this. This is, again, the Potato Vodka Cardigan by Thea Coleman,
Yep.
who is somewhere in the U.S. I'm not sure where
I
she's.
have no idea.
I think somewhere along
Somewhere
the
cold.
east. Yes, somewhere fairly cold.
She
Anyway,
typically does cold weather patterns.
Yes.
So that it was originally in a worsted weight main color. I believe it's Harrisfield Designs Nightshades.
Yes.
Which I have worked with nightshades in the past, and it's one of those. It can be a DK. It could be a worsted. It's versatile in that way. And then she used the Dream State, which is the thicker DK/worsted version of Spincycle.
One thing I did notice and I don't know, this may be an optical illusion, but I did notice using the dyed in the wool instead of the Dream State, that in the pictures on her Ravelry page for the pattern, it does appear that maybe her alternate color or her Spincycle color does seem to be more prominent. Whereas with mine, because the Brick Tavern is a little bit more thicker, it makes it more prominent. To me, it's comme ça.
Yeah.
Is that really bad French?
Was that trying to be French?
Or is that Italian? I'm not sure.
It certainly didn't sound like French.
I'm still trying to work in the international theme
Wow.
here.
Yeah. I think we just lost all the French viewers.
Probably so. Sorry, Vincent. Yeah, I know you'll rip me.
Oh, okay. So I cast on another doll. I cast on the outline. It's just called the outline, or the outline raglan.
Okay, this is not the outline T.
No, it's not the outline T. So it's similar. but it's a long sleeve sweater version. And instead
Okay.
of just going on the like outline,
Okay.
it does, but then it comes back in. Look at the picture on the website.
Okay.
So I am knitting mine in the Undine DK, which we just got in.
Ooh.
So it will feature drop stitches between these ragline lines. But obviously you drop them at the end, so you don't see it until the end.
Oh, that's how that works.
Yes.
Oh, that's
So you
interesting.
knit the whole thing, and then you drop your 4 stitches and.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in the picture you'll see they like slant.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see that.
I've seen the picture of the pattern. I just
Yeah.
didn't realize that was the way it was constructed. So that's interesting.
It is. And I don't believe we actually do anything else to finish the neck. I think the neck is just the rolled neck like it is.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm using Undine DK. And now I have the hiccups for some reason.
I didn't give her anything to drink, so it's not my fault.
It's just coffee, I promise. Undine DK and Natural. This stuff is amazing. Of course, I've used Undine Fingering. Y'all know that.
Yes. Which is amazing too.
Yes, it is. Undine Decay is even better. It's like softer.
Oh.
Feel it. I mean,
Oh. You know I have my color picked out.
Yeah. I can see there's 2 choices that you would pick.
Well, when we first got in the Undine Fingering,
You already bought the blue.
no, I made a top out of the blue.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. But the slate color, I sort of gave it up for a customer.
Oh, that's right.
And so I'm thinking, okay, it's back.
It's back.
It's calling me.
That's true. I forgot about that. So let's show colors.
Oh, let's do.
Outline. It's by Jessie May again. I don't think it's food.
Feeding time.
Somebody's hungry. So let's go through colors. So Undine DK is not, or does not come in as many colors as the fingering. So it only comes in 11 colorways. But that being said, it's still fabulous.
Can I? You start with your natural, and then I will
So this
show
is
mine.
natural, which is what I'm doing. So it is a DK 60/40 organic cotton and linen, 273 yards per the skein.
And this is the colorway I was talking about, Slate, which is it's like a grayish aqua dark.
It's like a gray.
How would you describe this color?
It's hard because it's a neutral, but it's a gray oil slick green, teal blue.
On the bluish side.
On the blue, yeah.
Yes.
So it reminds me of like, when you get a puddle of water and like oil spills on it, you get that greeny petrol-y
Oh,
kind of
excellent.
color.
Yes. That's a good description.
I know that doesn't sound appealing, but
Well,
it. But okay, so like I've also seen Slate. Slate sometimes has that oily look.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I know where the colorway name came from.
I mean,
for sure.
It's very obvious. Slate
Yes.
is what I used for my Hawthorne. I used the colorway Slate, and I also used it for the Mira that I did in the fingering weight.
Yes.
All Slate because
Because
it's a good color.
It's a good color.
That being said, my next project is in this color. I haven't started it yet, so I didn't bring it. But I picked up some Undine Fingering in the jewelweed color for a crocheted top that I might start soon because it's warming up.
And I would describe that. How would you? I mean, it's an orange that's red, or a red that's slightly orange. How would you describe
call this
that
as
color?
a orange that leans red.
Okay.
Very, very tomato.
Yes.
Very much, when people say I got sunburned like a lobster, I feel like this is the color that they mention.
But you're right. If you've ever seen the red shell of a lobster,
yeah.
that's pretty good.
It's
that's pretty good.
Now I'm sure jewelweed, it's a flower, and I'm sure it's probably this color. not familiar with that plant.
No.
Yeah, okay, so like if you've got an iPhone, I'm staring at it, the little red box around your countdown, it's this color. It's that orange red.
Yes.
Tomato
A very,
red.
very pretty color.
Very pretty.
Okay, I've got the colorway Rye, and this, I don't know if this is going to come across on camera, but I want to pair this with my Slate because it has just got this tonality running through it that is unbelievable.
Okay, so I feel like the Undine Decay has more tonality than the Undine Fingering, and the Rye shines on Undine Decay.
Yes.
On Fingering, it's pretty.
Yes, but it just doesn't show off this stuff.
So Rye and Natural is what Caitlin Hunter used in the original Albania.
Oh, okay.
So it was Rye and Natural. There's a hair.
I believe that would be yours. I don't think it's the right color or length for mine.
Summer Peach. So this is like perfect for summer.
Perfect summer peach color.
Summer tees, tanks. Very cute.
And then I have Tiger's Eye, and this is a golden brown, and again, there's tonality running through it that just gives it a lot of depth and visual interest in that.
Like Tiger's Eye, if you've ever
Like
seen
a Tiger's Eye. Perfect name.
Then we've got Peony. So Peony is just a real pretty soft pink. If you're a pink lover, it's perfect.
Correct. And then the colorway that I have used previously on another project in the fingering is Prairie Flax, which is a nice light blue, just that summer color of light blue.
Yeah, kind of a cornflowery-ish.
Not so
too
pastel as to be a baby blue.
No.
But a nice light blue.
Kind of like you left your denim shorts out in the sun and they bleached.
Yes.
A bit.
Yes.
Then we've got Quartzite. I want to compare Quartzite because we've had some questions. Quartzite is not the same as Peony. Quartzite is definitely more of a purple undertone and a gray undertone. So it's very much like more of a rose quartz with a purple lean.
Okay. And then I've got New Growth. Okay, you bright colors lovers out there, this is gorgeous. It's a bright yellowish green. If you would think about, I'm looking right out the window at some of the pine trees that are starting to come out with new growth, and this is the exact color of those yellowy green pine leaves. And I know there are other plants that do the same thing, so another good name for this colorway.
It borderlines a chartreuse without being, I know it looks bright, but it's not necessarily neon.
No, it's not neon. It's just bright.
It's bright. Then we've got, last one is Hyacinth. So Hyacinth is it is the color of Hyacinth. It's that
100%.
bluey purple hyacinth flower color. Very rich. So those are all the colors of Undine Decay. We have them all pretty much, with the few exceptions, mostly jewelweed and new growth. We should have sweater tee tank top quantities available for you. And we also have pretty much, I would say, in almost all the colors in the fingering, we also have sweater tee tank top quantities available as well. So then,
This was all I could hold.
oh no, you're good. I'm gonna steal that one.
Okay.
We also got in, of course, our custom colorway, which we talked about, which already sold out. So get on the wait list for that. But we were able to snag a few new colors of Maiden that were just released, I think in January. And we love Maiden. Maiden is ritual dyes, 2-ply twist fingering, 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, 400 yards. Fabulous. So, go ahead.
Okay, so this one is Plum Drop. Again, a perfect name for this plum purple color.
I'll say it's mostly a tonal. There's variations in it, but it's not like a speckles or anything like that.
Correct.
Really. My coffee. We don't get.
You're just afraid I'm going to knock it over, and probably rightfully so.
Then we have Serpentine. Serpentine is the new shade of green. Now this one does have some speckling in it. There you can see it's got like these dark forest green and kind of not quite black, but just really dark green and shades of green speckling in there. So it's real pretty, lightly speckled, but super pretty serpentine green.
Okay, I think if you'll hold up those two together, then it kind of shows that.
This one?
Yeah.
What?
I just like that. Well, this is the new growth, and so I was just going to show how it looks on the fingering on this particular base, as it comes across more yellow to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, I have leather, and this reminds me of a saddle.
Yeah.
Or, that darker colored leather, the leather sofas that were so popular in the 1970s. Ooh, dated myself there, didn't I?
Or like, those leather bound books in the library.
Oh, yes, yes.
Or the
Anyway.
leather chairs, yeah.
It's a very, very
It's
beautiful.
very pretty. It's again one of their more tonal. Suri is just
She's having
the time.
She's
of
living her
life.
best life here.
Yes. So I'll talk about new growth. So you might notice that new growth is speckled on Maiden. So
Yes.
it has these awesome gold, brown, reddy kind of bits throughout. Fabulous. It is, like you said, it's a bit yellowier / slightly brighter, just because of the difference between plant and animal fibers.
Yes.
But it's fabulous. And it goes well with serpentine if you want to do a combo project.
Oh my, I don't know how this happened, but I ended up with a blue one. So this is juniper berry.
So this is a restock.
And this is a restock, and it is, again, a pale blue, but not a baby blue. It's just beautiful. It has speckles of kind of a red and teal throughout. Again, a lightly speckled, so it's not really heavy all over. Anyway, I love this color. That's beautiful.
One reason I like the ritual dye colors so much is because they're speckled. A lot of them, her speckled colors are speckled, but in a wearable way.
Yes.
Don't get me
yes.
wrong, we all love a hedgehog or ching fiber, but sometimes, while it's fun to knit maybe a pair of socks or a shawl with that, it's not a garment that you're going to wear, most likely.
Too much, maybe a little bit too much.
Unless you're just like super bright and fun and funky, go for it. But I'm not that person. I want to wear a speckle. I want to have some fun a little bit within my beige box. But I want things that are wearable. And so that's why I really love bringing in the Ritual Dyes yarns. And their yarn is just so good to work with.
Oh, it is. It is a dream to work with, for sure.
Okay, I'm going to show mine, and then we can talk about your fabulous color that, of course, she grabbed.
Of course.
This is Tart Cherry. This is one second to last of the new colorways. This is truly a Tart Cherry. This is not a tomato red. This is just
It's a cherry
red.
cherry red.
I know, but sometimes I say cherry red and it's darker. This is like a light cherry red, So it is still.
It's not a Bing cherry.
It's not a Bing cherry. It's a tart
maraschino cherry.
Yes. So, okay, if you ever buy frozen sweet cherries, they're dark. They're like the Bing cherries.
Yes.
If you buy frozen tart cherries, they're this color. So they must have bought a bag of frozen tart cherries.
Actually, I have a feeling that they're probably grown somewhere close to where they are.
That's probably true. But tart cherry, it's lovely.
And
we're going to have to fight for this one.
This one is definitely going to be a battle. This is Sapphire, and it's a dark denim blue with even like darker speckles lightly occurring throughout.
So good.
I don't know if those are dark navy, if they're black or whatever, but they just make it scrumptious. Sapphire.
It's a good color. What else do we have? Oh, we have these.
Oh,
So we got in.
sorry, they're all tangled up in my yarn now.
We got in a couple new books and magazines, real quick, and then we'll sign off because we're getting late. This is Finished Knits from Alina Magazine. It is in stock and ready to go home with you. This is the one-of-a-kind issue, just like Nordic Knits that they came out with. This one is focused on Finland. So Finnish designers, Finnish articles. I mean, it's not in Finnish, it's in English. I did buy the English. I always kind of have a panic when the box comes in. It's like, did I actually order English?
So now we're in Finland,
Yes,
part
now
of our
we're in
international
Finland.
journey here.
Yeah, why don't you talk about this yarn shop? I think we talked about it last episode, didn't we?
I believe we did.
I think I talked about this. Actually, now I'm having flashbacks.
I don't know if it was this or on the live, but maybe you might have.
Anyway, buy it if you haven't bought it already. You can talk about that. That one's brand new.
Oh, I haven't even seen this one yet.
So this is it's a start of a new magazine called Beloved Patterns. And so I don't know how often they're going to do it, but each one is going to focus on a theme. So this one apparently, Vuko is like an iconic Scandinavian designer that had kind of like everybody knows Facet, K Facet, especially like quilting and the colors and all that stuff. This person is very similar in that kind of bright, crazy, but fun. So anyway, they have 20 different designers that all took inspiration from Vuko and then did these. So this is that. My understanding is that's Vuko.
A pioneer in sustainability in fashion.
And so they all drew inspiration and designed these patterns as a homage to her and her aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. Really great patterns in there. There's everything from like shawls, scarves, socks, shorts, tees, tanks, the whole shebang. That cool poncho.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
I mean, it's really cool. So there's a lot of really unique things in there. Highly recommend it. It's also pretty cheap. Line of magazines, the color and the photography and the paper and everything is super high quality. This is $18. So it's a good little investment.
And it's got what I would call not difficult patterns, but just totally reimagined. I mean, look at this simple like smock type dress, but look at the patterning in it. That is so cool. I love that.
And again, if dresses aren't your thing, you shorten
I
it.
shorten it up to
and
a
it's a tunic or a top, you know?
Oh, I think one of these just is going
Did
to
you just
find
sell
its
yourself?
way home with me. So again, that's Beloved Patterns.
Yeah. Again, everything's on the website. It's just $18, so it is definitely affordable. I will say that the cover is a bit thinner than say like the Line of magazine covers, but
It's still decent cardstock, though.
It's still good.
Yes.
I was wondering, since it was such a lower price point, if it was going to be like flimsy, and it doesn't really feel flimsy. That being said, Lindsay Fowler has her second book now out. It's called Trails and Valleys. This is basically inspired by the whole camp aesthetic, and let's see, thoughtful, versatile knits for every adventure. So it's sizing and almost everything is child size through adult.
That's neat.
Pretty much everything is a unisex, so you can do men's versions, or she has it like different ways you can modify, so that you can knit this for men, women, children. I don't think your cats or dogs, but you know, just about anyone. And there's everything from mitts to sweaters to socks. I don't want to show the pattern.
cowl.
There's cowls, there's bandanas, like she has the camp larkspur little kerchief. It's so cute, like your little camp kerchief. You've got sweaters. That sweater is sized from toddler or child all the way through adult. I like this one. This one's like camp lines or something like that. So 15 different patterns are included in this book. Really nice book. Second book from Lindsay Fowler, and it's Knitwear for the Family Adventure. So, that's it.
I guess so. We've gone around several countries
We've gone around several countries.
and several states.
Several states. That was Ohio. She's from Ohio. And we're ending back in Texas. So
And here we are,
we've
back
gone
in
around
Texas.
the world on a
Knitting adventure.
knitting adventure. Okay. Wow. I forgot how I'm going to end the podcast, but thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you're still watching, and you'll be wanting to tune in next week. So definitely sign up for notifications, hit subscribe, like, comment, all of the
Please.
above does help the algorithm. If you follow us on Instagram, it also really helps us if you do a comment. Apparently now your comments have to be 5 words or more for the algorithm to, I
So
know.
no more of this beautiful,
Yeah, no
love
one,
it.
no one words, and no more likes. Now, I mean, we want likes.
We want likes, yes.
but that doesn't keep it for you guys. That won't keep us in your feed. Unfortunately, you have to show that you interact with us by commenting for us to show up in your feed. It's,
Technology is out to get us all eventually, and I'm a technology person, so.
and I'm not, so
Yeah.
I all just went, but that's fine. Hopefully you like us and you want to follow us and see the shenanigans and see me do stupid little reels and dance around and act like a total fool.
Right. And if you really want to get the full experience, make your way down here and come into the shop, because there are shenanigans going on here all the time.
All the time. Yes. People are like, oh, you are just like you are on the podcast. I'm like, is that a good thing? I don't know.
This is us, folks.
Hi. Well, no, you're dressed up.
Well, that's true, because yes, sometimes the dye studio is now in the back of the shop, and so I have to be very conscious of the times I come into the front, because sometimes I look like I've been in the dye bath.
Well, one time she came out and she's like, is my hair purple?
Well, I really had a
Yeah.
little incident, and I was convinced that the whole front of my hair was purple, but
Yeah.
you're good. That would just put me in style. So
Yes, exactly.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And happy knitting, crocheting, whatever crafting floats your boat.
Yes.
See ya.
Bye.